I'll just give you an overview to events last night. I'll make some personal comments and then I'm happy to take questions. As you know, the BPS received multiple calls in regards to an address in Pembroke, which was at number 1 Sunset Pass last night. That was about 20 past midnight. We attended to find that a 32-year-old female had been shot and tragically was later pronounced to have died as a result of the gunshot injuries. We know that during the evening a party took place at the residence, which was in attendance by the deceased lady's godchildren, which in itself makes this matter even more shocking. Thankfully, those children were not at the premises at the time, but there were a number of other people. What we know at this stage is a lone person on a black and yellow motorbike came to the scene, got off the bike, 5'6" to 5'7", that they are estimated in height, and walked directly to the victim and shot her, we believe, 3 times. That individual then left the scene, and obviously we attended and made attempts to protect her life, but as said, tragically she died. Inquiries today and inquiries through the night are accelerating. There are a number of different activities going on and various things we're considering as to why this has took place, because this was not a random act. It is quite clear that this lady was targeted by an individual and shot dead. I can't really put into words. Any loss of life is a tragedy for Bermuda, but when one considers the circumstances of this case, that somebody has deliberately planned, has walked in front of others, and I will use the word, and I've considered carefully whether using it as executed her, and done it in a callous way, and then walked off. And of course those that have been in Bermuda far longer than I will know that for a woman to be shot, a woman to be murdered in such circumstances is off the scale, irrespective of the tragedy of any life lost. And of course, earlier this year, we saw a lady who had her fingers chopped off with a machete. I know that somebody in our community knows who did this. And perhaps it's a time for all of us to reflect, what kind of community do we want to live in? We have individuals, and thankfully a very small minority, who have got no value to life. No value at all to life. And they act in a way that should be condemned by all of us. The atrocity of what they've done. And the fact that this lady and her loved ones, their grief now is probably can't be described. And we face continually, we have great support from the community, but those parts of the community that can help us, walls of silence come up. People get together and they don't say anything. They don't want to tell the police. And the lightest thing I can say is that's frustrating, but the fact is that's wrong, because I would hope that people are thinking that perhaps this is a watershed. It's a watershed to the violence that we see within parties that exist within gangs in Bermuda, and it has to stop. And the only way it can stop is, certainly in this instance, somebody picking up the phone today and telling us who did this. Because if they do it today, we have the opportunity to bring them into custody quickly, to assemble the evidence in a far more effective way, and put this person in front of the courts and deal with them as they should be for taking another person's life. But also it's about the sharing of information by the community, because the police alone, I don't want to be chasing tragedies. I want to work with the community to stop them. And we will look at every single aspect of obviously investigating and bringing that person justice, but we'll also look at what existed to stop this from happening. So I appeal to anybody who knows, contact us and just tell us who did it. We will give further updates as we go on, and obviously information as to how the investigation is progressing. But what I hope today, with the support of yourselves in the media, that we can get this message across, not just to assist this investigation, but perhaps to encourage a reflection on our community that things do have to change. One life lost is a tragedy. More lives lost is catastrophic. So I'm happy to take questions.
Commissioner, good morning. Trevor Lindsay, TNN. During the last incident at City Hill, you had a press conference, and I asked, is this a game changer where you're now getting women being targeted? This is now resulting in, like you said, an execution.
I mean, Trevor, I really did sit down upstairs. I even looked at the word execution on just like dictionary, just to remind myself, and I don't say it lightly. The issue about it being a game changer is it doesn't change the game in regards to our commitment to protect lives. It doesn't change the game in regards to bringing those to justice. But it's abhorrent, and one perhaps does reflect on the fact that when a woman is targeted, is that something that really should concern us? And it should concern us when anybody's life is lost. But when a woman's life, when somebody goes up and shoots a woman dead, in a situation where a short while before children were present, yeah, I think there's a major issue here that we've really got to start reflecting on. And that's through condemnation of those actions, but more notably is there's people in the community, there's good people in the community, even though they perhaps exist in environments that are difficult, and they need to stand up and not just tell the police, but stand up and challenge some of the things going on. We've got guns on our streets. I still remain of the opinion it's a very small number, but one gun, one bullet is too much, because that results in somebody being killed. So I do agree with your point, Trevor.
Commissioner, I know it's early days, well, hours really. Can you tell us what, have you determined what sort of weapon and whether it's been used in any other incidents?
No, I mean, it is too early. I mean, our normal process is that we recover certainly cartridges. We have, and it's one of the things that I don't say it's a sense of pride, but it's a reflection of the capability of the BPS, is that we will do ballistic inquiries with any shell cartridges. That allows us to identify not just obviously the specific ammunition, but the gun that has been used, the type of gun. But then, of course, we can then take that ballistic evidence and identify, as you've said, whether or not that gun has been used in Bermuda before. Too early to say. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case.
Have you made any connection with any other investigation, any other investigation?
No, and again, we're in a matter of hours. We know that there's, and it is some reassurance to the public that there is a belief that there's gang affiliations that centre around this incident, which perhaps offsets that this could have happened anywhere in Bermuda. And that's not a slight on the people involved, the victim, but it does allow us to concentrate on some specific issues.
Is this an unusual area, though, for
No, I think any area is unusual. I mean, we often attribute some of the violence to locations close to here, but we've seen a change in some of the violence, obviously in Warwick, further afield. So I don't sort of say that there's certain locations that cause this. I mean, obviously, and our belief is that the woman was specifically identified, so wherever she was going to be was going to be the place that this happened. I'm not sure. I believe that it possibly is, but I'm not going to confirm that at this stage. Because, of course, the other thing, and you will respect it, our primary focus in regards to the victim is is their family. And at a point when it's appropriate and the family are fully not just informed but supported, then a release of that person's name
You said
will
there was a
come
party
about.
there. Were there other witnesses? Were there other people there?
Well, there were a number of people there. They obviously are critical witnesses. We're working with them at the moment.
Can you see how many?
I would just say several at this stage.
Okay. Commissioner, there's been a heavy police presence on the North Shore Road.
Yeah.
In that area in the last few weeks. Have you received intelligence?
Well, I mean,
something was,
no, I mean,
something was about to happen.
I mean, Trevor, you and I speak a lot, you know that, I mean, policing is like an iceberg, and tragically these incidents take place, but the fact is that we prevent very, very more. And we work on the basis of intelligence. We will put resources where we think there is risk. So the example at North Shore would have been an intelligence-based operation, similarly to other deployment of resources elsewhere on the island. But certainly I can say that we were not aware of anything that would have indicated this tragedy happening overnight.
There was no, I went through the area, I didn't see any police tape or any police officers.
What time did you go through?
This morning.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is we got there at 12:20, and indeed I was going to go down to the scene, but on speaking to the head of crime for the BPS, we'd worked very quickly through the night with crime scene investigators. We secured the relevant evidence from there, which obviously is a number of forensic activities, and then the scene was released. We won't retain a scene. It is a family residence, and of course there'll be family members there that will be grieving.
Surrounding residents, video cameras, CCTV?
All part of the inquiries that are ongoing, and they're a natural part. And indeed, I referred to the incident the other day, which was a sexual assault that came about through an extensive CCTV review. So that will be part of our inquiry.
By any chance, can you release information to identify which the perpetrator?
Yeah, Trevor. I mean, as I said, and yeah, I mean, Mr. Moreno will facilitate more updates. I think our plan will be later today. We'll do a further press release that will give more information that we know. I mean, I've mentioned the bike, which is quite distinctive, sort of yellow and black. It's not the most usual colour, and we believe the offender was around about 5'6", 5'7", but obviously had a helmet on, so I can't make any judgment, albeit we're speaking to witnesses at the moment. So in regards to sort of put more information out that perhaps the public could help us with, CCTV and otherwise, we'll look to do that later today.
You said earlier that there were only a few guns, you believe.
Yeah.
Any idea how many?
Well, yeah, it's one of those questions. It's the best guess. I mean, I've always stuck to the view that there's less than 10, and the reason why I say there's less than 10 actually refers to the point you said earlier. There is a way of us identifying whether guns are repeatedly used in Bermuda, and indeed there might be an incident where we know there's a new gun, because of course if it doesn't show up any sort of ballistic records, then we know it's a new firearm that has come into Bermuda. And it's a sad but true fact is that guns are recycled, and the way in which they're held is that individuals will access them for use and then they're placed back with somebody who holds them, and that's a wider issue. One of our big inquiries is not just obviously preventing incidents like this, but the guns that we can take off the street, and one gun can result in one life lost. So every gun we take off, one could argue that's one life prevented.
Is there any thought to the possibility that the shooters are imported?
What, the actual guns?
The actual shooters?
No, there's no indication of that. And I say that with hand on heart, because the BPS is not blind to issues, and whilst the incident overnight is a tragedy, and it's one that we were not aware of, because we would have prevented it if so, there's no indication of imported gunmen coming into Bermuda.
Any other questions, members of the media?
Yes. There are rumors that this might have been linked to another shooting several years ago to the police.
Yeah.
I think this might have been linked to any other.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of hypotheses that are going on at the moment. Some of it is we look into the victim's background, connection to any issues. I mean, it's been raised with me already in regards to previous court cases. It's also been raised with me around the individual's profession and so on. And quite often in the early stages of an investigation, you get so many different views, but the issue is to work the scene, look at what forensic evidence is there. And I'm going to finish on this, okay? It's just a reiteration. And I might sort of bang the desk or something, but somebody damn well knows who did this, okay? And they're sat there today, and they're sat on information that not only is stopping the BPS bring this person to justice, who quite clearly is dangerous, because if they are going to do this, they will do it again, and they have got no respect for life. And I just ask, for once, to certain parties, do the right thing, pick up a phone, even if you just say a name down it, Crime Stoppers or whatever, because it will allow us to work far quicker on behalf of the family and actually prevent further atrocities happening again.
Thank you,
Okay,
Commissioner.
thanks everyone.